Tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Okay, so Sales and dear Dhamma friends, so we'll resume our discussion on the base renaissance group. Right, so last week we started the base renaissance group, and we went through the Pali and the analytical states, and we discussed that there were two parts, there were two components that we'll be discussing here. So last week we were discussing this table, right? Yeah, this table we discussed a summary on the three enumerations, and now today we'll be going through the these analytical states in detail. Right. So the first component which we have to understand here is now we have in the table we have, it's the usual format. We have the condition states and the condition states. The first component from there we have to discuss is the when the five consciousnesses, two fivefold consciousnesses arises, what are their conditioning and the condition states related to the base renaissance group. So in the condition state, it says when eye consciousness arise, the ear base, and likewise the body base, which means that we have to fill in the rest here, the ear consciousness, etc. And likewise the body base, which has reached the moment of presence, existence, right? So it's the titi moment which is discussed here. And the condition states becomes the eye consciousness duad, and likewise the body consciousness duad, right? So these consciousnesses, they become the conditioned states. So in addition to the condition, I mean the consciousnesses, we have to consider the mental factors too. However, we in the Burmese Nisse books, only the consciousness are given. I think it's mainly because of the fact that in the Pali, it comes as like this, right? So it says like Chakkundriyang Chakkuviññānassa Indriya Paccena Paccayo. So Chakkundriyang is the eye base faculty, serves as a condition to eye consciousness. So Chakkuviññānassa is the eye consciousness. So the Pali only presents the main thing, which is the eye consciousness. So I think that is the reason why the shadows have presented this without explaining the mental factors, without stating the mental factors. Okay, I was searching for something but could not find it. There is one more thing which I need to explain out here, which is regarding this sentence. It states when eye consciousness arises, the eye base, which has reached the moment of presence or existence. Now I'm using this phrase, using this sentence based on Sayadaw Janakabhivansa's explanation. I'm telling about the Bhasatika Sayadaw Janakabhivansa. So in one of his Paṭṭhāna explanation books, so he explained this thing like this, based on the Visuddhimagga sub-commentary, Mahatika, and I think uses the Mulatika as well. So it's based on that explanation. Because in the other books, I mean the ancient Nisaya books, in the Burmese books, it has given a different kind of a sense base here, right? So it mentions about three types of bases, basis, and the basis for that three types is the time period, right? So it says up to after a base arise, up to a particular phase, a particular point, it has given as the first, how to say, like as stage 1, and then we have stage 2, and there's a stage 3. So it takes the middle stage and explain that that I base will be the base for the I consciousness, like that. But because that shadow has used that explanation, uh, uh, in this way, I'm using that instead of that ancient way which has written in the books. So yeah, so that's what I have explained here. Because in some of the books, you may find a different kind of explanation. Let me find it. Yeah, okay. Go ahead and translate that.
Okay,
I'm trying to find it in other books which in English, but I cannot find it really. Yeah. Okay, so nevertheless, I'm using that based on the Janaka Sayadaw's explanation, the Mahagandha Sayadaws, and which he refers to the, I think he's referring to the, yeah, he's referring to the Visuddhimagga commentary. I'm telling Visuddhimagga sub-commentary. Yeah. So this the Majjhima Yuka explanation, if you are really interested, and if you have really learned it already, please go through it. If you have really learned it, if you are not learned it, you don't need to go through it. That explanation on the base which the consciousness is arising, that base is explained based on, that thing is explained in relation to the object, not the not the not anything. That object doesn't have anything to do. The lifespan of the object, it's explained based in relation to the object, right? Object which that base is taking. So really, if you there is no really a relationship between the object, the lifespan of the object, and also the lifespan of the base for the consciousnesses to arise. So the only requirement there is really that this body base, whatever the base, that reach to the moment of presence, titi. So that is the basis for that. Okay. So now we move into the next one. The second point. The second point is that near the time of death, the I base and likewise the body base that arises together with the 17th consciousness preceding to the death consciousness, and that and those bases, right? Those bases support the 2-5-fold consciousness near the time of death, right? The I consciousness door, and likewise the body consciousness door. So here now, this base which is specifically mentioned from the death consciousness, preceding the death consciousness, we take the 17th consciousness. So the reason to take the 17th consciousness is, as we know from the 6th chapter of the Abhidhamma Sangaha, the materiality, the karma-born material, right? Karma-born materiality, they will stop to arise. The new karma-born materiality will stop to arise before on the 17th consciousness preceding to the death consciousness, right? So therefore, whatever the consciousnesses which are arising after that point, they need to they need to take the bases which arise at that point, right? At that point, uh, preceding to the death consciousness, right? Because after this, after that 17th consciousness, new bases will not arise. So that's why the 17th consciousness preceding to the death consciousness is taken here, right? The body base or the bases which arise at that point. So, so these consciousnesses, the two five-fold consciousnesses which came here in these two sections, they are indeterminate. So, so that's why it comes under indeterminate to indeterminate. Abhyakato, abhyakatassa. Right. And then we move into the third one, part C. That is for the heart base that arises together with the preceding consciousness beginning from the rebirth linking. So, and in the fivefold existence, the conditioned states are in fivefold existence, excluding the immaterial resultants and the two sets of fivefold consciousnesses, 22 resultant consciousnesses, such as Bhavanga and others, and functional consciousnesses. So, so for these indeterminate consciousnesses, the heart base support beginning from the rebirth linking, right? So the heart base which arose at the point of rebirth linking, it supports the rebirth linking mental aggregates, right? So that part we discussed in the connaissance group previously. In the previous subchapter, we discussed that part. So here in the pre-renaissance group, what we have here is that after that point, right? After the rebirth linking. So starting from the first Bhavanga consciousness, the heart base which arose immediately to that preceding, immediately to that relevant consciousness, which is the preceding consciousness, support the mental aggregates which arise in the heart base. So because we are in the abhyakato abhyakatassa, indeterminate to indeterminate, we are only taking here the indeterminate consciousnesses as the conditioned states. So now we come to the next point, point D. So in here, what is explained is the situation in the Nirodha Samapatti, right? So I believe that you have learned about this in the fourth chapter in the Abhidhamma Sangha. So from the Chitta Viti, so we know when an anagami or an arahanta who attain the 8 jhanas, and when they have mastered them, they can attain the cessation attainment, which is the Nirodha Samapatti. So in the case of the Nirodha Samapatti, we know that the consciousness do not arise as long as that anagami or arahanta attain that state, right? The consciousness will cease to exist. It will not arise. So, so for them, really, we cannot say that the heart base that arising together with the preceding consciousness like that, because the consciousness is not arising. So therefore, it is given the heart base that arose during the time of the immediately preceding mind moment, right? So when the anagami and the arahantas, when they attain this state, yes, their mind is not arising, it will stop, but there are other types of materiality, they will arise. So the heart base being karma-born materiality, it will continuously, it will arise. So and the lifespan of those materiality, it will not change, right? So therefore, the heart base that arose during the time of the immediately preceding mind moment is taken here, right? Not the together with the preceding consciousness, because it cannot be taken. And that we know when the anagami or arahanta, when they when they emerge from the cessation attainment, for the anagami arahantas, I'm sorry, for the anagami, it's the anagami fruit consciousness which arises first after the cessation attainment. And for the arahantas, it's the arahanta fruit consciousness which arises. So for these two consciousnesses, the heart base that arose during the time of the immediately preceding mind moment supports. Right. And then the next one is quite straightforward based on what we learned earlier. The heart base that arises together with the 17th consciousness preceding the death consciousness at the time of death, right? So the same theory, right, which applied here in the second one applies here too, right? So this is regarding the heart base, the consciousnesses at the near death moment, where it is supported by the heart base, right? So previously in here we learned about the 5 bases when they are supporting near the time of death, but here we are learning about the heart base. So it's again the heart base that arises together with the 17th consciousness preceding the death consciousness at the time of death, right? We can say near the time of death. I'm sorry. Say near the time of death, right? Near the time of death, and we have here near the time of death, 15 bhavanga, the 2 adverting, 2 receiving, 3 investigating, 1 determining, 5 death proximate functional impulsions, registration, and death consciousnesses. So the 15 bhavanga which comes here, because the reason is that the 4 bhavangas which are applicable for the immaterial planes, they are not applicable. So from the 19 bhavanga consciousnesses, we have to only take the 15. And the 2 adverting, the 2 receiving, 3 investigating, 1 determining. Yeah, these are very straightforward. And here we have 5 death functional impulsions, right? So this functional impulsion means that the kriya javana, right, which arises in the arhantas. So it's 5. It's because that's why I have take the 5 impulsions. And why there are only 5 death proximate functional impulsions? Because at the moment of death, near death moment, the heart base is not strong. So it cannot support 6 or 7 impulsions which arise usually, right? So in the normal moment, usually that 6 or 7 consciousnesses, the functional impulse, I'm sorry, the 6 or 7 impulsions arise, the 6 or 7 javan chittas arise. But because this is the near death moment, only 5 will arise, right? And because it is this indeterminate, we have to take the functional impulsions, and then we have the registration consciousness and the death consciousness, right? Yeah. Yeah. So with all what we discuss here, I believe that you all have the understanding that this pre-nascence condition, the Purejāta Paccaya, it occurs only during the period of life continuity, right? It does not occur in the rebirth linking moment, right? I think it's very clear for you. So, and one more thing here is that when it comes to the 5 bases, the eye base, the ear base, etc. So these bases, we have to take them according to the being, right? How this pre-nascence conditions support according to that being, which means that for the beings who are born in the womb, right? In a womb, or in egg, or rather call it Garbhasayaka in Pali. So their faculties are not developed until a certain stage, right? Even though their faculties are developed after a particular stage in the womb, they will not start functioning, right? So once they are born to the world from their mother's womb, then it will start functioning, right? When they start to seeing things like that, right? So it will not start really functioning certain things, certain certain bases. They will not start functioning. So you have to consider that fact too, right? And for the case of the beings like the Brahmas and some deities, the Devas, so they are born with fully the completed faculties, right? At the moment of the rebirth linking, all their faculties are there, but they start functioning during the period of life continuity, right? So that we need to understand here. Okay, so we have completed the indeterminate to indeterminate, and the next one is indeterminate to the wholesome, abhyakato kusalasa. So here the theory is same as this one, right? The heart base that arises together with the preceding consciousness beginning from the rebirth linking. So here comes as the heart base arise. Yeah. The heart base arising together with the preceding consciousness, such as Vatthu-purejāta and mind-adverting, that the conditioned states are the 21 wholesome consciousness that arise subsequently in fivefold existence, right? So why the consciousness such as Vatthu-purejāta and mind-adverting are taken, which is that the first Javana consciousness in a will follow. I mean, the preceding consciousness for the first Javana in a will be the Vatthu-purejāta and the mind-adverting, right? Vatthu-purejāta or the mind-adverting. So that's why it's explained like stated like that. Right. Okay, so the next one is the at the death moment, right? At the near death moment, when the wholesome impulsions are arising. So that is explained here, like stated here. The heart base arising together with the 17th consciousness preceding the death consciousness near the time of death, right? And then we have here the 5 wholesome impulsions near the time of death. And for the unwholesome indeterminate to unwholesome, the method is the same, right? To the wholesome one. The first one is the unwholesome consciousnesses which arise during the normal time, right? In the period of life continuity, and not in the near death moment, that point. So it's the heart base arisen together with the preceding consciousness, such as Vatthu-purejāta and mind-adverting. And here we have the 12 unwholesome consciousnesses that arise subsequently in fivefold existence. And the next part, we have the heart base arisen together with the 17th consciousness prior to the death consciousness near the time of death. And here we have the 5 unwholesome impulsions near the time of death. Okay, so now we'll move into the analytical states really. The analytical states which are given for each of these, right? I mean, the same thing we'll be discussing together with the instrumental case phrase, right? So starting from abhyakato abhyakatassa, indeterminate to indeterminate, the eye base Chakuvatu that conditions the consciousness doer and etc. The body base Kayavatu that conditions the body consciousness doers. And during the death proximate moment, the eye base and the body base that arose at the 17th mind moment prior to the death consciousness condition the eye and body consciousness doers. Yeah, so likewise it's given. Okay, please just go through it. Next one is at the moment of arising in fivefold existence, excluding the four material results, the heart base that arises with the rebirth linking consciousness and earlier consciousness conditions the 32 resultant consciousnesses and 20 functional consciousnesses which arise subsequently. And next one is at the moment of emergence from the cessation attainment, Nirodha Samapatti, the heart base that arose during the time of the immediately preceding mind moment conditions the Anagami fruition consciousness and the Arahant fruition consciousness. Okay, next one is during the death proximate cognitive process, the heart base that arose with the 70th consciousness prior to the death consciousness conditions the two reception, Sampatichana, 3 investigation, Santirana, and the 2 determining Tadarammana, 15 Bhavanga excluding immaterial Bhavanga, and the death consciousness, Chuti, the 2 adverting Avajjana, Vatthu-purejāta, determining the functional impulsions would be enough. Okay. And then we have from the dative phrase, abhyakatassa dhammasa, during the arising moment in fivefold existence, excluding the 4 immaterial resultants, it should be 22, right? 22 resultant consciousnesses, the 20 functional consciousnesses, and the 38 mental factors. So all of the analytical states for the dative phrase have been shown together here, not separately. Okay, now moving into the instrumental phrase. So it states from the instrumental phrase, Nisaya Paccayana, the conditioning forces obtain completely and appropriately. And seven of them. The Nisaya, dependence, Aramana, object, Purejāta, prenaissance, Indriya, faculty. So typo here, it should be Vipayutta, disassociation, Atti, presence, and Avigata, non-disappearance. So we learned about these pachas, right? So what is given here as from the instrumental phrase, Nisaya Paccayana, right? We are learning about really the Purejāta, prenaissance, but in the Burmese Nisaya, because the Nisaya Paccaya is there among the 7 Paccayas, so the Nisaya Paccaya comes before the Purejāta Paccaya, right? So that's why, wherever it comes first, the explanation is given. So later on in the Purejāta Paccaya, the prenaissance, I think it's not given, it's not explained. Refer to that Paccaya, refer to Nisaya Paccaya, like that. So that pattern is there in those books. So that's why it's stated as Nisaya Paccaya here. And the other thing is that we have the Aramana Paccaya here, right? The object condition. It really belongs here. It belongs to the what? It's taken here because of the Vatthu-purejāta paccaya, which comes in the Aramana group. Right. So it's given here that there are 7 paccayas which are completely and appropriately. And we have to break it down to really understand when these paccayas are applicable. So in the instrumental case, there are 6 conditions. Oh, what has happened here? Okay, so there are 6 conditions such as dependence, presencence, faculty, disassociation, presence, non-disappearance. So they are taken when the 5 objects serve as condition for 2 sets of 5 whole sense consciousness. But in the period of life continuity, when the heart base serves as a condition for the mind element, manodhatu, and the mind consciousness elements, it conditions all except the indriya condition, right? The faculty condition is not there. And then in the death proximate moment, when Vatthu-purejāta condition applies, the object of consciousness is the heart base itself. Therefore, the Aramana paccaya, the object condition is applicable, but Indriya is excluded. So therefore, 6 conditions are only applicable there. Right. So, okay. The next one is Abhyakato Kusalasa, indeterminate to wholesome. So from the subject phrase, we have at the moment of arising in 5-fold existence, the heart base that arises together with preceding consciousnesses such as Vatthu-purejāta, determining, and Manodvara Vajjana, mind-do adverting, becomes a condition for the subsequently arising 21 wholesome consciousnesses. And we have the heart base that arose together with the 17th consciousness prior to the death consciousness becomes a condition for the wholesome jhavanas, the impulsions, in the near death proximate process. For the dative phrase, Kusalasa Dhammasa, we have the conditioned phenomena, the 21 wholesome consciousnesses, and the 38 mental factors which arise subsequently in the 5-fold existence. Right. For the instrumental phrase, we have the conditioning forces obtained completely and appropriately, Nisaya, dependence, Aramana, object, Purejāta, presencence, Vipayutta, disassociation, Ati, presence, Avigata, non-disappearance. Yeah. So because the Indriya paccaya is not there, there are only 6 conditions. Right. So now we move into the third one, Abhyakato Kusalasa, indeterminate to unwholesome. From the subject phrase, Abhyakato Dhammu, at the moment of arising in 5-fold existence, the heart base that arises together with the preceding consciousness, such as Vatthu-purejāta and Manodvara Vajjana, serves as condition for the 12 subsequently arising unwholesome consciousnesses. The next one is the heart base that arose together with the 17th consciousness prior to the death consciousness become the condition for the unwholesome jhāvana moments in the death proximate process. And from the dative phrase, Akusalasa Dhammasa, the conditioned phenomena are the 12 unwholesome consciousnesses and 27 mental factors that arise thereafter. For the instrumental case phrase, there are 8 paccayas, right? 8 in total, which are obtained completely and appropriately. Nisaya, dependence, object, Aramanadhipati, object predominance, Aramana Upanisaya, object strong dependence, purejāta, prenescence, vipayutta, disassociation, ati, presence, avigata, non-disappearance, right? So we have a few more here, right, which because of the aramanadi pratipatya, which means object predominance condition, which is applied in Vatthu Purejāta. This part will be learn later on. So when this happens, when we learn it in detail, of course, later on, and this happens when the heart base becomes the object of the consciousness, especially with the unwholesome consciousness rooted in greed, right? So the heart base is grasped with attachment. So sometimes in those situations, the object predominance condition apply, right? Yeah. Right. Then we move into the analytical states of the base prenescence faculty. So here the faculty condition is applied, right? Abhyakato abhyakatasa, indeterminate to indeterminate. From the subject phrase abhyakato dhammo, the 5 sense bases that serve as condition for the 10 types of two-fold sense consciousness. And from the dative phrase abhyakatasa dhammasa, the conditioned phenomena are the 10, oh, not 10, it should be 5, right? 5 two-fold consciousness and the 7 universal mental factors. And for the instrumental phrase, are the paccayas, the conditioning forces obtained completely, right? All of them are applicable when this is taking place. The nisaya, purejāta, indriya, vipayutta, ati, and avigata. Right. So in the case of the base prenescence faculty, the faculty is also there, right? It's always applied. That's why it's explained like this. Why it's given, I think it's referring to the start from the Nisaya Paccaya. So in the Nisaya Paccaya, this part is given as, yeah, the 7 paccayas including the indriya. So it's given in general together with the other paccayas. And I think here it should be, in Nisaya Paccaya, it has given us 7 paccayas. And when we come to the Purejāta Paccaya, in the Purejāta Paccaya, it has given as only the Arambana Purejāta is given here. So I think, I don't know which book which I referred here. Here it should be Indriya Paccayana. Because in the Indriya Paccaya, Indriya Paccaya, in the faculty condition, it is given as like that. The instrumental phrase is given like this. So let's change it to Indriya Paccaya. Okay, so next one is the Pali table for the base prenescence. So how to construct this, right? So this format we are already familiar here. So we have the Pali which is given as Chakkayatanam, Peyalan, Kayayatanam, like that. So first we have to do the Vidhi Pali, like Abhyakato Dhammo, Abhyakatassa Dhammassa, Purejāta Paccayana Paccaya. Like that we have to first get it in this way. And then we have to get the Anuvada Pali, Chakkayatanam, Chakkuviññānassa Purejāta Paccayana Paccayo. Then Sotayatanam, Sotaviññānassa Purejāta Paccayana Paccayo. Like that we have to get it. The first sentence, I mean the Anuvada Pali. And then the other one is the Vatthu, the hard base, Vipāka-abhyakata, Kiriya-abhyakatānaṁ, Khandānaṁ, Purejāta Paccayana Paccayo. So like that we have to get it in here. And then the next one is Abhyakato Dhammo, Kusalassa Dhammassa, right? Abhyakato Kusalassa. So Abhyakato Dhammo, Kusalassa Dhammassa, Purejāta Paccayana Paccayo, Vatthu Kusalanam Khandānaṁ, Purejāta Paccayana Paccayo. And then we have Abhyakato Dhammo, Akusalassa Dhammassa, Purejāta Paccayana Paccayo, Vatthu Akusalanam Khandānaṁ, Purejāta Paccayana Paccayo. Okay. So yeah. So for the case of the Indriya Paccaya, right? So Indriya Paccaya, so we have to change it, this one as Chakkundriyam, Sotaindriyam, like that. And then for the instrumental case, we have to get as Indriya Paccayana Paccayo. So here, so it applies only for the Abhyakato Abhyakatassa and only the 5 bases. So we have to get the Vidhi Pali as Abhyakato Dhammo, Abhyakatassa Dhammassa, Indriya Paccayana Paccayo. To start with the Indriya Paccayana Paccayo. Then next one is Chakkayatanam. So Chakkayatanam becomes Chakkundriyam, right? Chakkundriyam, Chakkuviññānassa, Indriya Paccayana Paccayo. Sotindriyam, Sotaviññānassa, Indriya Paccayana Paccayo. Like that we have to get it for the 5 bases. Okay, so that's it that we need to discuss here. Yeah, for the base prerenaissance group. So if you have questions, we can discuss them. No questions, it seems, right? Everything is clear.
没有问题，就说大家应该都很清楚这个内容。
Okay, so we share the merits which we accumulated by learning, by teaching, by reflecting, translating, right? So we share the merits with the deities and the other beings, and also have the aspiration to attain Nibbana from this karma. Right? Do not aspire anything else.
老师说呢，如果大家没有什么问题呢，现在我们就将我们今天所积累的功德呢，做一个分享。我们将今天呢所积累的这些呢殊胜的善业，通过呢我们学习佛法，通过教导佛法，通过思维佛法，通过翻译佛法等等呢这些殊胜的这些功德呢，我们今天所累积的种种功德，我们与呢这些天人与所有的其他的众生呢分享，然后呢我们也以此功德呢来发愿，愿这些功德成为我们真悟涅槃的强力助缘。那老师说呢，我们不要把这功德呢做任何其他的发愿，只是发愿呢成为我们涅槃的助缘。
Akasattha ca bhummattha devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkantu sasanam. Akasattha ca bhummattha devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkantu desanam. Akasattha ca bhummattha devanaga mahiddhika Punyantang anumoditva chirang rakhantu mang parang idammi nyati nang hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo idammi nyati nang hotu Sukhita hontu ñātayo. Idamme ñātinam hotu. Sukhita hontu ñātayo. Imina punya kammena mame bala samagamu satan samagamu hotu yava nibbana pattiya yang pattang kusalang tassa anubhavena panino sabbe saddhamma rajassa ñatva dhammang sukhavahang Papunantu visuddhaya sukaya patipattiya asoka manupayasang nibbana sukha muttamang chirang tittatu saddhammo dhamme hontu sagarava sabbepi satta kalena sammadevo pavassatu යථාරක්ඛින්සු පෝරාණා සුරාජානු තතේවිමං රාජාරක්ඛතු ධම්මේන අත්තනෝව පජං පජං ඉමාය ධම්මානු ධම්ම පටිපත්තියා බුද්ධං පූජේමි ඉමාය ධම්මානු ධම්ම පටිපත්තියා ධම්මං පූජේමි ඉමාය ධම්මානු ධම්ම පටිපත්තියා සංඝං පූජේමි අද්ධායිමාය පටිපත්තියා ජාති ජරා ව්‍යාධි මරණම් හා පරිමුච්චිස්සාමි ඉදං මේ පුඤ්ඤං ආසවක්ඛයා වහං හෝතු ඉදම්මේ පුඤ්ඤං නිබ්බානස්ස පච්චයෝ හෝතු මම පුඤ්ඤ භාගං සබ්බ සත්තානං භාජේමි තේ සම්බේ මේ සමං පුඤ්ඤ භාගං ලභන්තු බුද්ධ ශාසනං චිරං තිට්ඨතු බුද්ධ ශාසනං චිරං තිට්ඨතු බුද්ධ ශාසනං චිරං තිට්ඨතු සාධු සාධු සාධු
Thank you very much, Bante. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.